Hey there! If you haven't been to my channel before, my name is Emma and I am a romance writer from the UK. And today I was wanting to have a little bit, I don't like to say a whinge, but it's going to be a whinge. It's not going to be a full rant, it's like a mini rant, just about something that has been on my mind a little bit. And that is how a lot of people just seem to have completely taken the fun out of reading. Now, reading is one of my absolute favorite activities, and I think that's very, very important as a writer, although obviously it's something that I really enjoy just for, its own enjoyment. If you like, I read quite a lot, not a huge amount. I definitely read every day, and I tend to have a few books on the go. So what I tend to do is I will have one non-fiction book. At the moment it is the 6 Pillars of Self-Esteem, which one of my boys bought me for Mother's Day, and I will then have a fiction book, which tends to be my preferred reading medium. And that is The Women by Kristen Hanna, which I haven't read that much, but it's absolutely brilliant so far. Highly recommend it. And that was from another one of my boys for Mother's Day. And then I also have an audiobook, which I'll put on while I'm cooking or cleaning or generally doing stuff like that. And at the moment, I am enjoying Stephen Fry's retelling of the Odyssey. I think that's his latest book in the series that he's done, covering Greek mythology, and I am a bit of a Greek mythology nerd, so I've really enjoyed all of those books, and I think I'm nearly done with this one. I think I've got about an hour left to go in the recording, so I'll probably finish that today. But what's really important to say is that I don't by any means kind of set myself time limits and things as to when I need to finish these books. And I think that that is the key to what I find very difficult to understand with what a lot of people seem to do nowadays. So reading to me should be about enjoyment. It should be about escapism if you need that, perhaps about educating, learning about other cultures, other peoples, maybe, I guess you could say as well. It's incredibly good for understanding people, for learning empathy. Studies have shown that. It should not be just a competition to see how many books people can read very quickly. And so by setting these kind of challenges and things on Goodreads, I can kind of see a little bit that it can encourage people to read more, maybe if they weren't already. But I just think it ends up as a bit of a race to read as quickly as possible, which doesn't seem to be a very good way of experiencing reading and of thinking about reading. And to me, it certainly takes a lot of the enjoyment out of it. So I will see booktubers and book talkers and things kind of, saying, oh, I've got to catch up, I've got to finish this book today because I need to update it on Goodreads. And it's like, okay, so you might want to read for a bit, but to say that you have to finish it just seems a bit strange to me. I have actually been caught up in this kind of thing myself in the past in 2 ways. So the first way is that I did used to run a book review website. It was called Bookworm Inc., and I really enjoyed doing it for quite a while. But what I found happened is that I would be sent a lot of books, which was lovely, but I would then feel that I had to read those books, even if I hadn't necessarily agreed to review them. If they were just being sent to me by a publisher or an author, I would feel bad if I didn't. Or even if I had agreed to read them, there would be a date that I needed to read them by, and sometimes they just weren't the book that I particularly wanted to read. Sometimes you might be in the mood for historical fiction, for example, and if I had a sci-fi book to read, it just wasn't the right time for me to read that book, even if I would normally have enjoyed it. So that was one of the reasons why I stopped doing that website, along with becoming an author myself and understanding how horrible it can be when you get a bad review. And I didn't want my website to just be full of 5-star reviews, because let's face it, not every book that we read is going to be 5 stars. But I just didn't feel that there was a lot of point to having a book review website where basically I felt that I needed to give every book a really, really good review, because I would feel bad if I didn't. So I stopped that website, and it was actually really nice to just be reading whatever I wanted, and in my own time frame. But then once I got into kind of watching like YouTube book reviews and things like that, I did go along the route of setting myself a challenge to read so many books in a year. And I am competitive, so I did, I crushed the challenge. I'll be honest, I crushed it. But I did find that I was purposefully choosing books that I felt that I could read quickly, so that I would be able to, get through books quicker. And I don't think that that's a very good basis on which to be deciding what we're going to read. I think it's far better to read 2 really fantastic books that really touch us than 10 books that we're rushing through, but we can rate them on Goodreads and give ourselves a pat on the back just because we happen to have read a lot of books. Yeah, so there we go. That is kind of my rant. Calm down, people. Like, not everything has to be a competition, and not everything has to be about the hustle and doing everything the most and the fastest and stuff like that. Reading, a lot of it is to do with relaxation and just stepping away from everything else that's going on in the world. So enjoy it. It doesn't matter how quickly you read. It doesn't matter if it takes you an hour to read 10 pages, because you're going over the text again because there are some really beautiful parts. It's not just about how fast you read, how many books you get through in a year. And you definitely shouldn't be forcing yourself to read for prolonged periods of time just so that you can hit some kind of arbitrary goal that you've set yourself. Let's just kind of take a step back and just remember how lovely reading is, just how good it feels when you're in the middle of a fantastic book and you can settle down for however long you want, maybe in a comfy armchair, maybe with a nice cup of tea or coffee, and just completely relax, put everything else aside, and completely escape into a really good book.